All right, here we are. So I am live with the amazing, wonderful Dawn Owens, and it looks like we've got some people who want to join us. So Dawn, hang on just 1 minute. I'm going to get these folks in here. And we can have a nice big room here. And I'm going to monitor the chat on Facebook as well. We are in live in Texas Counselors Creating Badass Businesses. So I am monitoring the thread. I'm going to monitor the chat. And then Dawn, you may want to even take a couple of questions, but let me give just a brief intro because I love this lady so much. She made my dream possible of writing a book. And it was one of those things where I knew every time I sat down, I was never going to write this book. So Dawn, you and I met through a mutual friend, and then you said, oh yeah, I'm a book coach. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need a book coach. And you made kind of the impossible happen. And here I am. And it'd have been great if I had my book in front of me. Here it is. The book that do you have it?
Yeah.
Well, but not only that, you went on to start your own publishing company. And so what Texas Counselors Creating Badass Businesses is all about is helping counselors stay in business, stay in practice, and not go out of business because they burned out or they got in trouble or they went broke or any of those things. We want to really help counselors do as much as they can in their practice. And so I invited you here today to talk about your journey with us. To maybe give us some pointers. What's the first thing somebody should do if they're thinking about writing a book? But let me turn it over to you. Tell me, you fill in the blanks. Anything that I've forgotten? It's been 5 years. I haven't seen you in a long time. So tell me more about you.
Okay. Well, first of all, Kate, thank you for inviting me to share with your audience. I really appreciate that. And I want to just say, I am so proud of you. You are amazing. And just to see your growth over these last 5 years and what you're doing now, wow.
Thank you.
I mean, I'm honored to be connected to you always because I see writing books as, I feel like I'm a midwife. I'm helping someone.
Yes.
Something that lives forever. So I will forever be Auntie Dawn to your book baby.
Yes, you will. Yes, you are.
Yeah. So, first of all, I think people should know that I am a woman of faith. So that is one of the main things that I have to just make clear about me and about my journey, because everything really is built upon that. So that's the main thing. And, like you said, I'm a career coach. I'm an author coach. I am an author myself, and I am a publisher. So maybe I could start with a little bit of my journey and how.
Yes, please tell us about that. And Facebook folks, I am going to post Dawn's contact information in the Texas Counselors Creating Badass Businesses. I'll put it in the thread for this, but I'm also going to post it. So if you want to contact Dawn, you can reach her. But yes, tell us about your journey.
Okay. So, well, I always had a love for reading books, for writing, even when I was a young girl. So it just started with that. I think we all have gifts. We all have something that we are kind of like attracted to. So I was always attracted to books. And like a lot of people, I did the American dream blueprint, hey, you're supposed to go to school and get a job. So I went to school, I got a couple of degrees, and I ended up in corporate America working in corporate communications. And I was also the community relations person. So I had an amazing corporate job. I could be the Oprah of the company. I was handing out checks and taking pictures with the kids and the ponies and all that kind of stuff. But as I started to evolve, I had that feeling that a lot of people get, especially right now, Kate, a lot of people are saying, okay, there's got to be more to life than this, than what I'm doing right now? Is there something that can speak to my soul? Like I feel like I'm suffocating. For me, I felt like I had to shrink my spirit to fit in my gray cube every day, and it hurt. It hurt physically, mentally, spiritually, it hurt. And so, that forced me to have more faith, to actually strengthen my relationship with God. Now, one important thing to note about my story is that even when I didn't know what my sometimes when you have a talent for something, you just take it for granted. I mean, you can do it, so you don't even think about it. You don't think it's a talent, but other people recognize it, right? So for me, I always had a gift. I was very discerning, and I could look at my coworkers and I would know whether they were in the right jobs. And I know that sounds like a weird gift, but I had it. Like, people would line up at my desk and literally ask me, what do you think I should be doing? I'd be like, well, you should be in the plan, and you should be in sales, and you should be home with your kid. Like, I could see that on people. I could just see it. And so that's important to note, because after I left my corporate job, I literally left on faith. Now, I did not, I had enough sense to know I need to have that okay in my spirit. So after I prayed and I got that green light, I went ahead and I jumped off the cliff on faith. And then that led me to immediately, I didn't know what I was going to do, but I ended up at a temp agency. And through the temp agency, I would go in and out of different corporations doing corporate communications work or writing manuals or whatever. But really, I went in, and people that needed to hear my story of faith were attracted to me. Kate, it was like I had a light on my forehead. Come to me if you need advice on your career. And so
that was the title of your book, basically, That Light, right?
Right. Exactly. So they would come to me, and they would be career coaching, and I would use my gift that I mentioned before. I could see, and I would make up a strategy for them on the spot. I could tell them different things. And after going in and out of corporations for years doing temp work, then I got the directive to create my own company, because I have another company too called the Corporate Couch, and that's where I do career coaching. So I'm telling you all this to give you the backdrop. And so once I started the Corporate Couch and God started bringing the people to me, then I wanted to write a book. I said, okay, it's time to write. Well, I always wanted to write a book, but so I went ahead and I started working on that, and it took years, just like you said. You start writing, and then it's like, okay, is this good enough? And then you get stuck, and then it's like, okay, well, after years of telling people that I was writing a book, Kate, then they start asking me, when's your book coming out? And I didn't have an answer. And someone asked me one day, and I literally got mad. I got mad at me, because I'm like, I keep telling people I'm going to write this book, and it's not like I'm stuck. And so I set an intention. I said, I'm going to write this book, and the intention is, I'm going to set a date. And so right when I did that, that's when things start happening. So eventually I wrote the book, and to expand my coaching practice. That was my intention for the book. And immediately people started asking me, how do you write a book, Dawn? How do you write a book? So much so that I'm like, okay, well, if I could put together, if I can be a career coach, I could put together a program to help authors shorten their learning curve, so it won't take years for them to write a book. And so I put that program together, and audience, guess who was my first author coaching client? It was Kate. She was my very first author coaching client.
And hey, Dawn, it didn't take me years to write my book, thanks to you.
How long did it take you, Kate?
I think you had it. We got that thing done in like 3 months, 4 months.
Yes, you
I
are
mean,
the fastest ever.
I couldn't have done it without you. I mean, that's the thing. It's something that, and it's so funny. I want everybody who's listening to hear me really clearly. I mean, I'm not great at asking for help. I don't know if you can sense that about me, but with you, it was just like, okay, this person has done this. She's willing to help me. And then you came into my life. And then all of a sudden, remember, I even had a broken foot at the time. So I'm like, oh, for sure, that broken foot's going to get me out of this. You're like, no, that just gives you more time to write. I remember you saying that. It's like, oh, damn. Okay. So that's not my excuse. Okay. So you literally pulled that book out of me, but you had some things that were really helpful for me. Number one, and is you showed me what I had already written. And that was huge because I'd been to school. I'd written tons of stuff for different classes, and I'd, journaled before it. And you were like, I remember you said, Kate, just look at what you've already written. And that's how you help, right? I mean, that's one of the first steps.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the steps. I do emphasize also, looking at the book writing thing as a career, because I'm a career coach. That's what makes me different in terms of being the author coach. I literally became what I needed because it took me years because I didn't have someone like me. So I became that so that you could get yours done in 3 months versus, 7 or 8 years. But yes, it's a whole process that we go through. And now I'm really just emphasizing I can help you start a new career. It doesn't just end with having a book. It evolves past that. And so, because a lot of times when people are in love with, I just want to write a book. It looks so wonderful. I have a book. But it's really the opportunities that come as a result of having a book. So you having a book, Kate, then, what happened for you after you had your book? What happened in your career?
Well, that's what you, and this is the good segue to what I want to talk about because with counselors, we're going to be invited to speak. We're going to be invited to speak to maybe a school PTO or to a business meeting. And one of the things you told me was you have to have a book if you're going to speak. And that's what happened for me. So when I went to speak, I was like, oh, and here when I'm done speaking, you can have this little piece of me and you can take it home with you for $20. And people did. They wanted that. They wanted that little piece of me, and they may never read the book. I remember you saying they may never read that book, but they want a piece of me to take home with them after they hear me speak. And that opened that part of that career for me.
Yes. And, people, when you have a book, when you can just hold your book up and say, hey, I have this, it does something in people's mind. It makes you an expert to them because it takes a lot. I mean, even though, did your book quickly, but you had the information inside of you. So somebody like me can just come along. I have a process of pulling it out of you, but it was already in there, And so, you're the subject matter expert. And so it's like, okay, I have her book now. She's a subject matter expert. Okay, I have 50 other books over here too, and I don't have time to read hers. I'll just put hers on the pile. But when I have my next conference, I'm going to call her. Oh, I need her to write something else, something for me for a blog post or something like that. I need her to be an expert on a panel. Oh, we're creating this program at a university. Let me call her. People start to look at you differently, and then it creates opportunities.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, it's an opening.
Well, let me open it up. If you have questions and you want to post it in, if you're on the call and if you'd like to post it in the chat, I'm happy to read those to Dawn. If you are watching us live, we're going to be here until 10:30. So you can post those things in the thread. I believe it takes Facebook a couple of seconds to play catch up. So if you post it in the thread and I don't see it right away, just be patient and it should pop up. So if you have questions, I'm happy to give those to Dawn. And also, if the broadcast ends and you're watching this on a replay, first of all, thank you for watching. If you're watching it on a replay, you will have a way to be able to reach out to Dawn directly. So let's talk about this idea. If someone is sitting there right now and they've got that dreamy idea, like, oh, I know there's a book inside of me. What is something you would tell them about that? Oh, and we got a question. Lorraine wants to know, do you have any inspirational books you'd suggest for us?
Well, Lorraine, so this is Lorraine a counselor also?
Yes.
Okay.
And she's a professor as well.
Okay. Well, I would say get Kate's book.
I think she does. She's like, yep, she's got it.
Yeah, definitely get Kate's book. Another inspiration. I have so many books. You can also get my book.
That's right. Dawn's Light After Layoff.
But it's, my book is very inspirational, even though it's talking about it says layoff. It's really about transitions and how to transition from a spiritual perspective, not just religious, but spiritual, because we have to feed our spirits, to keep going. This is where you get your fuel from. You want to stay connected to your source. And so I'm giving some encouraging ways, 7 ways that you can definitely do that. So hopefully that helps a little.
Absolutely.
So now the question
the question about what would you tell someone who's got that idea in their head that they've got a book inside of them? What is a question you would ask them to kind of help narrow their focus?
First, I would tell them, don't waste time, get help. Because as Kate mentioned, she had me. So you want to invest in coaches, just like you all are attending this seminar right now. This is cutting your learning curve so you can get information so you can do things better, more quickly, right? So get help. So people come to me who don't have some people don't have anything, okay? They need to develop the idea. So you can come and talk to me, bounce things off of someone like me. And then we can brainstorm, because one of the mistakes, Kate, that people make is they're not thinking through the whole process. They're just, the process starts and ends with a book. It does not. We got to talk about your brand. Okay, what are you trying to achieve as a result of having a book? It doesn't end with a book. Are you trying to expand your coaching, your counseling practice? Okay, if you're trying to expand your counseling practice, for example, then the book needs to be written in a way that supports that. Okay, so for example, when I wrote my book was written to expand my career coaching practice. If you are in my target audience and you read my book, you will call me for career coaching. You will call me, because in my book, I'm putting you in my office so that you can imagine, the reader can imagine themselves sitting on the corporate couch talking to me. I'm talking to you. And so by the time you end that experience, you're like, oh, I already know her. I'm going to call her now to help me. So someone like me can help you think through that process ahead of time, versus you just spitting out words on a page. And then after you have your book, you say, oh, well, who can I sell this to? So many people do that. Don't do that. So that's the main thing you could do. Get help before. Don't wait till you think you have it all together. Get someone to help you get it together.
And I love it that you're talking about it as if we are marketing, because when we get out of school, we've read textbooks. Textbooks are just giving, I mean, we're trapped. We're in the classroom. So it's information, 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 information. We can't write our book like that. We can't just like, oh, well, I want you to have more information. No, that's writing it for me. I'm writing it for you.
Absolutely.
And you have to think about the reader when you write a book.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's what you really helped me see.
Yes, because a lot of people don't think about the client or the avatar, their target, target audience. So that's one of the things that I take authors through before we even write anything. I do coaching for at least a month, maybe a month and a half before we write anything. And you don't even have to write anything, So my process really is designed for people that are busy, who don't have time to write. Now, if you're a writer, you can write. And so that's okay. But if you are not a writer, because there's a difference between being a writer and an author. Writers write for a living, like a journalist or somebody like that. But authors may have a story to tell, but they just don't have time to write it. So my process is designed for those kind of people. So once we get the first half, the coaching part done, and we understand who we're talking to and what we want to say and the messaging, and I'm pulling things out of you, then I will have you speak it out. Okay, then there's a process for that so that you can speak the right things out. And then my team will take that and we will work with now that you've given us the clay, we'll mold it for you. And then you just approve as we go through the process.
So so we got another good segue here. 5 years ago, you and I were sitting around chatting and I said, why don't you start a publishing company? And you did.
Yes.
I love that. We had some good synergy back and forth, right? So tell us, we've got a few more minutes. I really want to focus on your publishing company. Give us a quick overview, kind of how that came about and what you do for your authors.
Yes. So as I said, I was an author coach starting with Kate. Okay, she's my very first author coaching client. I've had so many others since then, but so what I used to do, I would take the client to a certain point after we got the manuscript, then I would outsource, kind of like move them to someone else's business and refer them out for the actual publishing portion. But Kate was prophetic and she spoke into my life and she saw something in me. She said, why are you sending, Dawn, you can do this whole process. Why are you, involving these other people? Come on, Dawn. And then I remember you wrote something out for me. You were like, it could be like this level and then this level and a platinum level and she had the pricing and I couldn't, at the time I was just saying, I was staying in my lane. I was like, okay, that sounds good. I just don't really know how to do that. I don't know, Kate. I don't know. But here we are. She was right. And in 2020, after praying again, I do rely on faith and those prompts. But Kate was an angel to plant that seed. I was directed to do the whole thing, to start the whole publishing company. Don't send people out. So in 2020, my husband and I, we did open up the Owens Publishing Company. So now I can take the authors through the whole process. I can make sure that the whole process is impeccable from beginning to end and that they are well taken care of. We do, I only really do people's books, people who have inspirational stories, people who are teaching like Kate, people who have stories of hope. I want to put more positivity out into the world. I'm all about encouragement. And so, the legacy of the Owens Publishing Company will be that.
I love it that you speak about legacy and what this means and what your vision is, what your message is. And with counselors, I think sometimes we think we're just going to go do our job today. We're just going to go do our job today. But that's not what got us into this. What got us into the business is a story. And that story is inspirational. And if you can help one of these folks get their story out of their head and into their hands, I mean, that's going to make them stay in the business longer, because that's what I'm all about. I want to keep the counselors counseling.
Yes.
And if that means they've got a book that helps them add another stream of income or add a branch to their career or do something that's meaningful for them, awesome. And I know you're the person who can help them do that.
Yes, yes. It's in your message. You know, you are so inspirational, Kate. But look how Kate has evolved, like how her message has these branches, and now she's helping people all over the world. You know, I mean, the book just opened the door for her to do even
It really
more.
did. It really
And so her message, then your message goes all over the place. It's like throwing feathers in the wind. You don't know where these things are going and who they're inspiring on a daily basis. And so, you know, yeah, I would encourage you to don't overthink it. Just call me.
Right.
Just schedule a discovery call. You know, we'll put up the information, but yeah, just do that. Start there. That doesn't cost you anything. And so we can go from there.
I will do that. So we're going to close it down here in a second. If you have any other questions, I'm going to post Dawn's contact information. I'm going to post a link to her book, because we had Lorraine wanted to know where she could get your book. So I'm going to post a link. Is it on Amazon? Is it on your website? How do people get your book?
Yeah, so you can get the book by going to thecorporatecouch.com.
And I'll post that link in the thread as well. Thecorporatecouch.com.
Yeah, that's where the book is. My publishing company is www.owenspublishingcompany.com. And then you can schedule your discovery call at owenspublishingcompany.com.
Okay, so I'm putting the corporate couch. So that's in the chat. So for those of you who are on the call, and then Owens Publishing Company, is it the Owens Company of Publishing? Or
Owens Publishing Company.
And there it is. I love your photographs too, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, you got some great photos.
Thank you.
All right, Dawn, thank you so much for joining me. I've got people, they're going to schedule a discovery call. Kim Hoggett says she's going to schedule a call. She's been sitting on her book idea for over a year.
Kim.
So everybody, you will see the replay up in a couple of places. We'll try to get it on the YouTube channel. We'll try to keep it in the Facebook group, and reach out to Dawn, get your book going. Dawn, thank you so much. I'm going to, you hang on. I'm going to hit stop on the record.
Okay.
And
thank you, Kate.
Thank you. And I'm going to stop recording.